Hello and welcome to 2004. This is the year where one of the most popular bakkies in South Africa's history was launched. It is sorely missed on the South African motoring landscape. It is the Opel Corsa Utility. Now you're probably watching this and thinking to yourself, why on earth is Ciro reviewing a 16-year-old car? Well, here's the story. This is our crew car. It belongs to one of our crewmen, Plea. And a couple of shoots ago, I took this car and did a little run to get us some toasted samis. And I realized that it had just clocked 250,000 kilometers. And that blew my mind because this car feels rock solid. It honestly feels as if it's maybe done 50,000 kilometers. In fact, it actually feels a bit better than some brand new cars that I've driven recently. Renault Kwid. Oh, sorry, something in my throat. That's a go. Oh, geez, hay fever. Wow, must be a lot of pollen out here. A lot of plants. And before we did this film, I had a good chat with Dieter, and I asked him what the problems are he's had with his car. And he said that there was a little bit of a water leak, which he had fixed. And that's it.
Yep, one of the reasons these were so well loved was because they were pretty much bulletproof. But they also worked their way into the hearts of many South Africans because they were just cool cars.
In 2004, Opel introduced an updated Corsa Utility range, including the Sport model. We know it's a Sport model because it has a sticker which says Sport. And for your extra money, you received one-time sticker which says Sport, color-coded mirrors, 14-inch alloy wheels, these are the wrong ones though, a very kiff roof spoiler with a high-level brake light and a sliding window, and slightly smoky tail lights. Inside the car, you received power steering, air conditioning, remote central locking, and a CD player. And then in front of the car, the all-important fog lights. And all of this was yours for 108,000 Rand. So when Opel launched the second generation Corsa bakkie back in 2004, you could get yourself an entry-level Corsa Utility for about 76,000 Rand. It's no wonder that this car went on to become an absolute working class hero in this country. And back then the Ford Bantam ruled the roost. Chicken joke there. But when this came out, it absolutely blew the Bantam out of the water. First of all, you can get a diesel Bantam, and this came out with this 1.7 litre turbo diesel. And it completely blew the Bantam's power offering into the weeds. You can get 44 kilowatts in the Bantam, 55 kilowatts in here. That's an extra 20% of power. Also a lot more torque because it's a diesel model. And so this was not just a half tonner. You could carry 735 kilograms in this little bakkie. And essentially this is just a Corsa. It's a Corsa cabin, it's a Corsa chassis. They just strengthened the rear subframe and beefed up the suspension. But basically this is a car which has an incredibly useful load bed. And I think that's why it was so successful. And something where it really shone as well was fuel consumption. When it came out, claimed figures were 5.4 liters to the 100, which is exceptional even by today's standards. And Dieter is a little bit OCD and he keeps a record of all the fuel he puts in and the kilometers he gets on a tank. And he's still averaging 6.5, which is amazing. It's brilliant. That's what you want from a workhorse. It's the kind of car you're going to be doing a lot of kilometers in. You don't want to be spending a lot on fuel. What a brilliant little engine this was. Now, because the Corsa Utility was based on the road car, the Corsa, it feels and looks like a road car in here, but that was actually part of the appeal. It's quite a nice place to be. It was also quite innovative. Opel were one of the first manufacturers to move away from aftermarket radios in this segment of the market, and that solved two problems. One, it impressed your friends, and two, it was much harder to steal the custom fitted radio. All the info was displayed up here on an LCD screen, which was even part of the press release. That's how cool it was, and it included an outside temperature gauge. This was some serious innovation. This was really forward thinking. Unfortunately, it didn't have airbags, but it did have these very rad sport seats, bucket seats, in the sport model. But there are some clues as to how old this car is, and you can see that the owner has solved the lack of Bluetooth by going for a little Bluetooth FM transmitter, which has 2 USB charging ports as well. Technology just sorts these things out, progress. I've been quite honest on this channel about how much I don't like full-sized bakkies or pickups or utes. They're cumbersome, they're a pain in the backside in town, they're just too big, they're not particularly great to drive, they're pretty slow, they're pretty expensive these days as well. But I would drive something like this if I needed a load bed. It's got all the practicality of a bakkie with all the benefits of a small car. I think this is a solution to a lot of modern problems, but for some reason South African manufacturers don't. And the story of the Opel Corsa Utility is quite sad. So when Chevrolet took over Opel, they ditched the Corsa Utility and brought in the Chevy Utility, which, to be honest, was a pretty cheaply made bad facsimile of what this car was and what it represented. And it sold fairly well because South Africans needed that car. Then the Ford Bantam disappeared, which I never really understood why. And there were also some other options on the market. There was the Fiat Strada, there was a little half-tonner from Proton for a while as well. South Africans were spoiled for choice. And then slowly, one by one, they all disappeared off showroom floors. And now today, as things stand, the only little half-tonner you can buy is the Nissan NP200. And I think that's quite a sad state of affairs. My gut feeling is that if Opel put something like this back on the market, it would sell like hotcakes. I think especially in this post-COVID era, people are going to be downsizing, and maybe a full-size bakkie just doesn't make that much sense anymore. I must be honest, I don't think I understood the appeal of these cars until I got to drive one. Our director, this was the first car that he ever bought brand new. He got finance, he went into a dealership, he bought it out of the box, they even put a bow on the front. And he still says to this day that this was the best car he ever owned. Dieter, the guy who owns this car, he bought it at 180,000 Ks and he doesn't want to get rid of it. It's pretty much the perfect car for him. And I think I'm going to use this video to make an appeal, not only to Opel, but to all manufacturers of small bakkies that are sold around the world perhaps, but not sold in South Africa. Bring back the half-tonner. This is the bakkie that South Africans want. It's the bakkie that South Africans need. This is the bakkie that South Africans deserve. Bring back the working class hero, the bakkie of the people. Put it back on showroom floors and let South Africans vote with their wallets. It's time to endear yourself to a new generation of South Africans. Bring back the Opel Corsa Utility.
Did you know that we also sell really awesome car-themed merchandise? Check out our range of custom t-shirts and prints at our online store now. Simply click on the square box on your screen and we'll take you there, or the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.